The storm came down from the northern peaks like a living thing, all ice and fury. Jake had seen worse in his 20 years on Frontier Station 7, but not by much. He was splitting wood behind his cabin when the first gust nearly knocked him flat. Smart Money said get inside, secure the shutters, and wait it out with hot coffee and a good book. He didn't expect company. The knock came hard and urgent, barely audible over the wind's howl. Jake opened the door to find 5 figures hunched against the cold, their combat gear crusted with ice. Tall, lean, and unmistakably not human. The lead one, her crest feathers plastered flat by frozen rain, met his eyes with the predatory focus of a hawk. "Shelter," she said in accented but clear standard. "We pay." Jake stepped aside. "Get in before you freeze." They filed past him in a rush of cold air and the sharp scent of alien biology. Vryn, he recognized immediately. Apex hunters from the Talon systems, their reputation known across a dozen sectors. All female, as was typical for their hunting packs. They moved with a coordinated grace that spoke of years working together, immediately spreading out to secure the space despite being his invited guests. The cabin wasn't large. One main room with a kitchen area, a bathroom, and his bedroom beyond a partially open door. The Vryn filled it with their presence, their heights ranging from 6.5 to nearly 7 feet. They shed their outer gear carefully, revealing lean muscle and the iridescent feathers that marked their species. "Storm caught us between peaks," the leader explained, her amber eyes tracking his every movement. "Our shuttle is grounded 2 valleys over. We need perhaps 6 hours. Take what you need," Jake said, moving to the stove. "Coffee? I've got rations enough to share." The leader's crest rose slightly, a sign of surprise. "You are generous. You're cold." "I'm not." He set about making a pot large enough for everyone. Behind him, he heard quiet conversation in their clicking, musical language. He'd picked up enough Vryn to catch words here and there, commenting on the cabin. On him. One voice, younger and sharper than the others, cut through. "I saw him first." The temperature in the room seemed to drop further. Jake kept his focus on the coffee, acting like he hadn't understood. Vryn pack dynamics were complicated, especially when it came to matters of claiming and status. He'd read enough to know that much. "We all saw him at the same moment, Kira," the leader said firmly. "The door opened for all of us. My eyes focused first. You were still blinking ice from your lashes, Vex." Jake turned with Muggs, keeping his expression neutral. "Coffee's ready. Synthetic creamer, if anyone wants it." The one called Vex accepted a mug with a nod of thanks. She was clearly the eldest, scars marking her feathered forearms. A veteran. The younger one, Kira, all bronze and gold feathers, took her mug and moved to stand closer to Jake than strictly necessary. "You live here alone?" Kira asked. 15 years now. No mate?" "Kira," Vex said sharply. "It's a reasonable question," Kira shot back. "We're in his territory. Pack etiquette requires understanding the hierarchy." Jake sipped his coffee, buying time. "No mate. No pack. Just me and the trees." Another of the Vryn, her feathers deep green, spoke up. "That must be lonely." "Sometimes," Jake admitted. "Mostly peaceful." The storm hammered at the shutters. The cabin creaked but held firm, built to withstand the worst this planet could throw at it. Jake had constructed it himself, log by log, after the colony's main settlement had gotten too crowded for his taste. The Vryn settled into wait, their conversation flowing around him in both standard and their own tone. Kira kept circling back to him, asking questions. What did he do for trade? How did he survive the winters? Had he ever fought off predators? Each query delivered with that intense focus Vryn were known for, like he was a puzzle she was determined to solve. You're making him uncomfortable, another huntress said. Her feathers were pale silver, unusual for the species. I'm just talking, Kira protested. You're stalking. I am not. Vex intervened before it could escalate. Enough. We're guests. Act like it. Jake excused himself to check the shutters, needing a moment away from the attention. The Vryn were formidable beings, beautiful in a dangerous way. Kira's interest was flattering but complicated. Cross-species relationships weren't unheard of in the frontier territories, but they required navigation of cultural differences that could turn hazardous quickly. When he returned, he found them examining his books. The collection was extensive, physical volumes he'd accumulated over the years. Technical manuals, survival guides, classics from a dozen worlds. You read Ravek's meditations? The silver-feathered one asked, surprised. In the original Vryn? Took me 3 years to learn enough of the language, Jake said. Worth it, though. The translations missed the nuance. That sparked a real conversation. They talked philosophy, hunting ethics, the differences between human and Vryn, approaches to survival. Jake found himself relaxing, enjoying the exchange of ideas. These weren't just soldiers. They were thoughtful, educated beings with perspectives shaped by a culture thousands of years old. Kira remained on the edges, quieter now, but her gaze never left him. Hours passed. The storm showed no signs of breaking. Jake heated up rations, proper food this time, and they ate together around his small table. The Vryn had to sit carefully, their frames not built for human-sized furniture, but they managed. You really don't get lonely? The green-feathered one asked again. Jake considered the question seriously. I get alone. That's different. Lonely is wanting company you don't have. Alone is choosing solitude. And if company finds you? Kira asked softly. Then I offer coffee and shelter from the storm. Vex studied him with those sharp predator eyes. You're not what I expected. How so? Humans in isolated territories are usually running from something. You seem like you're running toward something instead. Jake smiled. Maybe I found what I was running toward already. The conversation drifted to lighter topics. They shared stories from their hunts, carefully edited to avoid the disturbing details. Jake told them about the time a tree bear had broken into his cache, and the week-long contest of wills that had followed. They laughed at his descriptions, the sound musical and wild dot as the evening wore on. Jake noticed Kira and the silver-feathered one, whose name was Lyra, exchanging glances. Some pack communication happening on levels he couldn't interpret. Finally, Lyra spoke up. Among our people, when a huntress declares interest in a potential mate, it opens a challenge period. Other pack members can contest the claim. Lyra, Vex warned. He should know, Lyra continued. Understanding prevents offense. Jake set down his mug carefully. I appreciate the explanation. You're not concerned? Kira asked. About what? That I claimed you. Did you? Jake met her eyes steadily. Or did you claim the idea of me? You don't know me, Kira. We've shared a few hours in a storm. The young huntress's crest flattened slightly. You reject my interest? I'm saying interest needs foundation. You're welcome to stay until the storm breaks. We can talk, learn about each other like thinking beings do. But I'm not territory to be claimed by who saw me first through a doorway. The silence stretched. Then Vex's crest rose in what Jake had learned was approval. Spoken like someone who understands respect. Kira looked away, but not in anger. More like consideration. You're right. I apologize. The storm, the cold, being far from home. I saw warmth and projected desire onto it. Nothing to apologize for, Jake said. But maybe next time start with coffee and conversation. That broke the tension. Lyra laughed, the sound bright and genuine. He lectures a Vryn huntress on proper courtship protocol. I like him. Don't you start, Vex said, but she was smiling too. They settled in for the remainder of the storm, the conversation flowing easier now. Jake learned about their homeworld, the vast forests and soaring mountains. They learned about his journey from overcrowded Earth to the frontier, seeking space to breathe. When the storm finally broke near dawn, the Vryn prepared to leave. They'd contacted their shuttle for pickup at the first clearing of the weather. Kira approached Jake last. If I return, she said carefully, with proper courtship intent and time to do this correctly, would you be willing to talk more? Jake smiled. Bring good coffee, and I'll consider it. Her crest rose in pleasure. I'll bring the best from 3 systems. Vex clasped his arm in farewell. You've given us more than shelter, human. You've given us a story to tell. The hermit who taught a hunter patience. Jake watched them trek into the fresh snow, their forms dark against the white expanse. The cabin felt emptier with them gone, but not lonely. Just alone, the way he'd chosen. But maybe, he thought, making fresh coffee in the quiet morning, maybe alone didn't have to be permanent. Maybe when spring came, and a certain bronze and gold huntress returned with good coffee and genuine interest, they'd have that conversation properly. The frontier was full of unexpected possibilities. That's what made it home.